up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the 2020 Chevy Silverado. Let's get started. Okay, what is going on, everybody? Like I said in the intro, today we are going over the 2020 Chevy Silverado. This is a truck that I actually just picked up for a really great deal, and I thought it actually fit really well for a tall person, but there are some things where I think they could have improved upon. And so I wanted to share that with you today so that if you are considering this truck at the end of 2020, so you can get a good deal on it as well, that you'd be able to see exactly if it's gonna fit for you or not. For today's video, I'm not going to be going over engine specs and towing capacity and all that stuff. It's strictly going to be about what are the internal dimensions of the cab and does it fit for a really tall person. If you're a returning viewer, you probably know this, but if you're new, I'm 6 foot 10 inches and I weigh 350 pounds and I have a 38-inch inseam and about, I think, like a 53-inch around chest. And so I'm a pretty big guy. And when it comes to finding a vehicle, it's not easy to find one that's going to be perfect. So for starting out, let me give you an idea of what it looks like when I'm just sitting here. This is the bench seat model. They do have some that have a center console, and I'll walk you through why that might be one to consider over the bench seat in just a little bit. But basically, this gives you an idea of knowing how long the leg space is. This seat is all the way back and all the way down, and although my legs can't fully straighten out, that's pretty typical with a truck because you're sitting up a little bit higher. But for me, it's actually pretty comfortable. I mean, there's a lot of leg room right here. There's a lot of space just in the cab overall, and I think you'll feel like it's pretty roomy. This is also as far back as the steering wheel comes. It does go up a little bit higher if you need it to. For my driving preference, I have it right here kind of in that middle ground. And like seriously, sitting back in this seat, I can have my arms completely straight with the steering wheel. I typically ride with my hand right here or right here with one arm. It's just more comfortable for me. But as far as just how it feels sitting in the driver's chair, it's pretty comfortable. One thing that you will see is that I am a little bit squished in right here. Because of this centerpiece right here, you really want to keep it down if you can, because it just opens up the space, and really that's what it's meant for. And you'd only really ever need to put it up if you have someone sitting there or if you need to, put an object there or something like that. But for the most part, you're going to be probably keeping it down. One thing that's probably kind of hard to see on camera right now is that it is kind of squished in just a little bit. It's really great for a long, tall person, but for someone who's big and tall, it's a little bit more squished than I would like it to be. Most notably, right here where the seatbelt is, that's a little bit close to my shoulder. It's not a big deal because of how I drive, but it would be nice if it's almost like if the driver's seat was scooted over just a little bit. It'd be really nice because this wall right here just feels kind of close to me. However, all the rest of the cab is super open. To put it in perspective, I have a 7 foot 2 inch wingspan, and look, I have to lean all the way over here just to get the glove boxes open, which it has 2 of. And so that's pretty crazy for me to have to reach that far. And so that should really give you an idea of just how big and open it is in here. So now you get a chance to see it from the actual driver's side. As you can see, my legs are like not very bent at all, and there is a pretty good amount of room right here. One thing I will say is that whenever you have the seat all the way back like I do right now, this right here is kind of in the way, not only for your shoulders, but also for vision. You kind of have to lean forward to see out of the window a little bit, which is not the most ideal. However, I have yet to sit in a vehicle where that's not an issue. They're just not made for super big people. So one thing that you're also going to want to know about is how do big feet actually fit with the pedals. This is a pair of my size 18 New Balance sneakers that I want to see how do they actually fit on the pedals. I think they're pretty comfortable because pedals just aren't big overall anyways. Right here on the gas, as you can see, plenty of room for actual acceleration and easy to switch back and forth between the gas and the brake. And there's also plenty of room over there and even a little footrest to put your left shoe. So for size 18 feet, like, that's a pretty good amount of space for me to not get my toes caught on the dash like this, and then also be able to compress the gas and not let my foot get caught on the brake pedal, which is something that can definitely happen whenever you have really big feet. So one thing I want to make sure that I go over as well is the internal dimensions of the actual truck. That way you know exactly what to expect with your own body if you're considering seeing if you can fit in this truck. To do that, I brought my tape measure. Now, keep in mind, I don't fully understand how they get these exact measurements, because when you look at like dimensions on the website and everything, it shows front headroom, second row headroom, shoulder room, stuff like that. I don't know exactly where they measure from, but let's see if we can figure it out. So the front headroom says that it has 43.03 inches. So I'm guessing that means from the back of the seat where your butt is all the way to the roof here. Let's see if that's right. I'm looking at about 42 inches right here, so I'm not sure exactly where they're measuring from. So with the seat all the way down, and I measure from the lowest part of the seat all the way to the ceiling, it's actually showing 42 inches. So I don't know how they measured that, but it's still plenty of room. I still have probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches right there above my head. So it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. So now we gotta do leg room. It says there's 44.53 inches of leg room. Let's see what that actually means. The way that it looks like they measured that is they also measured from the back point of the seat again, and they measured all the way down to where your feet go by the pedals. Now, I am showing that that is actually a pretty accurate measurement. I have a 38-inch inseam, but also my legs start kind of over here because I'm a lot thicker. I'm not really skinny. That's why my legs can't straighten out fully, because the difference of the 44 inches of leg space and my 38-inch inseam, the difference is right here in my trunk. So just sitting in here and feeling this thing, I think a 38-inch inseam is actually pretty comfortable. If you go above a 38-inch inseam, it might feel like it's a little bit too, short for your legs. Now we have the front shoulder room, which is 66 inches. What this means is that it's going from the shoulder of this side of the cab to the shoulder of this side of the cab. So if you cut it down the middle, you have about 33 inches of total space for your shoulders to comfortably sit. As I said a second ago, this right here is kind of a little bit closer in than I would like for it to be. So with where my shoulders are sitting, I'm taking up about 25 inches of space right here. 33 being the middle of it right here. So if you're leaning this way, totally fine. That's actually how I drive. But if you're not, you might find that this does kind of get in the way of your shoulder a little bit. But it doesn't get in the way enough that it would make you not want the vehicle, because there's a lot of other pluses for how much room it has. And lastly, the hip room is about 61 inches across the entire cab. However, each seat is, from what I'm measuring, is about 19 inches. But here's the thing, the sides of the seat are inclined a little bit. So what that means is that you're gonna feel those on your hips a little bit. If you're wider like I am, you might notice it a little bit more. For me, it feels just snug. It could be a little bit wider, however, it makes me feel secure. And the space between where the incline starts on the seats is 12 inches. And so you have about a foot before the sides start to go up, and then 19 inches total for the entire seat. So let that determine if that's gonna be a good size for like your waist and hip area and stuff like that. One thing you never see measured, and that I'm really curious about, is the headrest. How much height do you have on the actual headrest itself? So this is actually as high as the headrest goes. So if we take the same measurement like we did with the other leg room and stuff like that, we're measuring from the back bottom part of the seat. Let's see how high it is. So you're looking at 36 inches. That's 36 inches from your butt all the way up to the top of the headrest. As you can see with me in it, my head goes just a little bit above the rest. I think the seat will actually be pretty comfortable, even if you're getting into like the low 7-foot range, because you'll have more headroom and you have more like chair against your back, if you know what I mean. One thing I also want you to know is, what does it look like when you're looking out of the windshield? Does the cab of the truck come too low if you're really, really tall? And here's where I think this truck does a good job, because it doesn't really get in the way. Let's take a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. So the picture you're seeing on the screen right now is eye level that I just took with my phone. As you can see, yes, it is a little bit lower, but you're gonna have that in almost any vehicle that you're in. But what you have to remember is that when you're sitting in a truck like this, you're actually sitting up a lot higher. And so your need to look up under is not as important as it is to see up over. And that's why I think this truck actually does a really good job. If you look back to one of my previous videos, I reviewed this thing called the Light Insight, which is this little transparent strip of plastic you put on your windshield up here that actually allows you to see stoplights without having to like lean up under like this. So that can kind of help solve that problem. But honestly, I think this thing has pretty good vision for a taller person. Okay, so now I want to show you the back seat. This is the seat right behind my chair on how I sit in it when I drive it. Not ideal for someone my size sitting behind me. However, there's actually a good amount of room for someone that's a normal sized person. There's actually plenty of knee room right here. There's plenty of room right here for them. There's actually a lot of headroom as well. So let's see what it looks like whenever the chair is in a normal driving position. Okay, so this driver's chair is actually not even all the way forward. I moved it about halfway forward and I tilted it up a little bit, and there's actually enough room for me to comfortably sit in here. My knees are against the chair. I mean, that's something that you're gonna deal with whenever you have really long legs. However, there's a lot of room. There's plenty of shoulder room in here. There's plenty of headroom. I probably have 3 inches over here, and I'll show you that in a second. But I think that if you're a parent and you have taller kids, this back seat can work great for, you know, kids up to my size pretty comfortably. Now, if you're all over 7 foot, this probably ain't the vehicle for you. I'm sitting in the back seat like I was just a second ago, and these seats you can't lower and raise. And so this is what you have to deal with, but look at the headroom in this. I still have another couple of inches right here for this headroom, which is awesome if you're gonna be taller sitting in the back seat. Now, normally, respectful people will offer you the front seat, but if you don't have a respectful short person that's offering you the front seat, sometimes you're gonna get stuck in the back. But just know that if you are stuck in the back of the 2020 Chevy Silverado, it's actually gonna be pretty comfortable if you're a taller person. Okay, so one thing I wanna make sure that I show you guys is what is it like when you actually get in the vehicle every day? Are you having to duck a ton? Are you having to like squish in there butt first? I think this truck does a great job with it, so I wanted to show you what it looks like. That's not bad, right? Let's see that again. So for me, just turn sideways a little bit, throw that leg in there, boom, and you're here. And I think like some vehicles are just such a pain when you're having to sit down into them or having to like crane your head all sideways and everything to get into the vehicle. This is such a treat being able to just step sideways into it and sit into it. And that's a big deal for me. Okay, my friends, so that is the 2020 Chevy Silverado. Mine is the Texas edition because I'm here in Texas, so not everyone would be able to get that. However, it's very similar to a lot of the base model trucks that you're gonna see. This one being a special edition does have some extra features. However, where you're sitting is going to be more like a base model than it is something like a high country or a platinum or something like that. So my assessment on this truck, I think it's great if you're a taller person. If you're a bigger and taller person, I don't know if there's quite enough room in it. I got this truck because it made sense numbers-wise for me. However, you could find a truck that has a bit more shoulder room and hip room, like a Tundra or something like that. However, being able to sit sideways into the truck and not having to scrunch down or you know, crane your neck trying to fit into the cab of the truck is really nice. So I think this one actually does fit in a lot of ways for a tall person. Are there things that can be improved for a taller person? Yes, there's things that could improve. Are they going to improve? No. Tall people are just not a big enough market for them to make changes based on. So you gotta kind of just make do with what's available. So I hope that this review helped you. I know it's only one vehicle and you may not be interested in a truck or something like that. However, we're coming up on the end of the year. This is a 2020 model, so you can get a great deal on it. So hopefully it does help. I want to continue reviewing vehicles. It doesn't have to be a truck. It doesn't have to be big and tall. If there is a vehicle that you are considering, let me know and I'd love to review it for you so you can see someone who's really, really big inside of it to see if it's something that can fit for you. I'll let you know my honest feedback about it on if you should look at that or something else. So any ideas that you have, leave them in the comments below and I'll take a look at them for you. If you haven't already, I would love if you would take the time to subscribe to my channel. I try to release my videos once a week right now. However, this time of year, like during the fall, has been really crazy and I haven't been able to be as on schedule as I would like to. However, I am gonna try to continue to be consistent so you have more content coming out. So if you subscribe and join the Freaky Tall family, you will see more videos coming out in the future for all different types of products to see if they work for big and tall or if they're designed for big and tall. It's always a pleasure having you here and I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Again, I'm Corey from Freaky Tall Reviews. We'll see you next time.